At exactly 9:50 a.m., through the thick, smoky dawn of the front line, a massive Russian armored convoy, 71 powerful vehicles, rolled forward with absolute confidence. They had one mission: to break through Ukraine's defenses in a surprise two-pronged assault. The roar of T-72 tanks filled the air. BTR and MTLB armored carriers followed behind, along with pickups and motorized troops, all prepared for a fast, decisive strike. But this was the turning point. What the Russians didn't realize was that the thunder of their heavy engines coming from two clear directions had already given them away. Their overconfidence would become a fatal mistake. Ukrainian drones and intelligence units were tracking every movement of the convoy. As the drones watched from above, the trap was set. Leopard and Ukrainian T-72 tanks lay hidden, waiting in ambush. Infantry fighting vehicles stood ready, guns locked. Tactical drones hovered silently overhead. Far in the distance, American-made Paladin self-propelled howitzers waited for the command to fire. When the strike began, it unfolded with cold precision, swift and devastating. In just 25 minutes, dozens of Russian tanks, armored carriers, trucks, and rescue units were engulfed in explosions. The entire convoy was obliterated before they even realized what was happening. This is the story of Ukraine's secret ambush, where intelligence and technology turned the hunters into the hunted, and the underdog claimed a stunning victory. Inside Ukraine's command center, alarms blared. Their round-the-clock surveillance of both fronts had paid off. When the massive convoy of 71 appeared, everything went red. Electronic warfare units lit up, jamming enemy signals. Aerial surveillance networks came online simultaneously. The first clue came from a Vidra 3 scanner which picked up engine vibrations north of Velika Kamyanka, confirming the presence of heavy Russian armor. The second was an R-168 radio intercept. Russian chatter spiked to 3 times normal levels, faking mobile signals. When these two alerts aligned, Ukraine's Joint Command Center went into full emergency mode. A PD-2 fixed-wing drone was launched. Within 7 minutes, it climbed to 700 meters, sending back infrared images, a convoy of civilian-looking pickup trucks moving with lights off. On thermal maps, the tracks of armored vehicles appeared clearly under the pines. Even under Russian jamming, disrupting frequencies from 900 MHz to 2.4 GHz, the Ukrainian drone stayed locked on target. How? With a multi-layer anti-jam system. When GPS was scrambled, it switched to inertial navigation and used synthetic aperture radar to see through interference, keeping the target in view even inside the enemy's electronic bubble. All evidence pointed to a coordinated strike, not a random patrol. 6 T-72 tanks led the formation, backed by BTR-82A troop carriers, MTLB transports, and a BRM recovery vehicle. Behind them came the real strike force. 12 military pickups disguised as civilian, 2 light buggies, and 41 combat motorcycles. The bikers' packs carried jamming gear to block drone radar. The pickups mounted Igla man-portable air defense systems, FNM AG heavy machine guns, and smoke grenade launchers. This was no routine movement. It was a hit-and-run incursion designed to slip in, hit hard at close range, and disappear before anyone could react. Objective? The mining strip and Velika Kamyanka crossroads. The Ukrainian forces needed only 10 minutes to seal their fate. Their goal was absolute, total annihilation. Once the route and purpose of the 71-vehicle Russian convoy were confirmed, a rapid infiltration and strike force, Ukraine's top commanders made their decision within those first 10 minutes. They outlined a brutal two-pronged ambush. The northern flank targeted the armored spearhead, BTRs and MTLBs. A Leopard 2A6 tank battalion, German-made beasts, switched to hidden firing positions. Three Marder infantry fighting vehicles, armed with 20mm autocannons, provided supporting fire. Behind them, Paladin M109A6 howitzers, America's mobile artillery, handled long-range strikes. 6 specially trained civilians joined the operation: Furia FPV drone operators, a recon kamikaze drone team, and 2 Switchblade 600 loitering munitions, acting like intelligent hovering bombs. Each Switchblade carried a 3.5-kilogram explosive warhead, cruising at 60 miles per hour and diving from 50 meters. 2 elite anti-tank scouts were assigned to the Leopards. Their job: call out live targets and confirm kills in real time. A second Paladin battery deployed, 4 more Martyrs and 8 FPV teams. Overhead, 2 Turkish Bayraktar TB2 drones performed simultaneous reconnaissance and strike runs, assisted by a PD-2 recon drone, a Mini Shark tactical drone, and a Stinger missile team for air defense. This wasn't brute force, it was surgical destruction. Artillery commanders loaded specialized shells, Excalibur, precision-guided rounds, DP-ICM cluster shells, and standard M107 high-explosive rounds. 7 Excaliburs were programmed for the main group. These GPS and laser-guided shells could hit within 16 feet at 25 miles, perfect for moving targets. 5 DPICMs followed, each releasing hundreds of submunitions, shaped charges, and shrapnel, shredding light armor and infantry over wide areas. 6 M107s targeted the third formation. Paladin's firing chart cut deviation to just 62 feet. Meanwhile, TB2's laser codes synced with Paladin's system, forming a deadly fire network. Final checks confirmed overwhelming firepower. The 3 Martyr cannons were loaded with tungsten core rounds. They'd slice through armor like butter. 16 drones armed with 3.3-pound warheads and 8 carrying thermobaric payloads stood ready. Everything was set. The trap was alive. Time to strike. Orders came down. Action phase. Russian artillery waited for their command. Drone video captured the lead T-72 tank emerging from the pine shadows, white vapor hissing from its engine like the breath of a cornered beast. Across the field, the Leopard tanks lined up. A spotter locked the laser rangefinder to his turret, 2,100 meters. The gunner adjusted his ballistic computer. A 120mm APFSDS Sabo fired, its tungsten dart slicing through the air at over 1,000 miles per hour. The first Sabo hit the T-72's gun mantlet. The kinetic force detonated the autoloader, turning the turret into a pressure cooker at 174 psi. The hatch burst open in a flash. Flames shot skyward like a dragon's breath. The second Sabo smashed the next tank's fuel compartment, spraying diesel into a fiery vortex. The battlefield roared like a forge, steel against fire. This wasn't chaos, it was execution. Destruction hit fast and hard. The third tank's tracks shattered under another Sabo. Side armor peeled away like burning paper. Within seconds, 5 Russian main battle tanks were nothing but flaming wrecks, the armored spearhead decapitated. What had been steel and firepower minutes ago was now a corridor of burning hulks. Behind them, MTLB carriers disappeared into black smoke. Crews leapt blind into the haze, straight into kill zones. No chaos, just calculated erasure. A BTR-82 tried to regroup, forming a wedge and powering its 30mm cannon, but saw no targets. Ukrainian martyrs hid behind BMS cover, their muzzle flashes invisible. Then came the hammer. The Paladins fired their first Excalibur. It struck 100 feet ahead of the BTRs, detonating with surgical fury, shredding the commander's hatch and optics. The second round hit an MTLB behind it. The shaped blast ripped through the tracks, splitting the hull. The vehicle collapsed like a punctured lung. The ambush raged. The BTR's 82 pushed forward blindly. Paladin rounds landed closer and closer, explosions turning metal to dust. Ukrainian FPV drones dove next. 8 launched. 2 hit the jammed engine deck of the third T-72. Martyr guns spat 500 tungsten rounds, piercing the 14mm side armor of burning MTLBs. Metal melted like foil. The forest turned into a circle of fire. The northern flank was neutralized. As the north burned, Ukraine's southern forces struck simultaneously, sealing the trap. Heavier armor pinned down the lighter Russian vehicles. Pickups, buggies, and 41 motorcycles charged forward, unaware of the drones circling above. A Bayraktar TB2 laser-locked on a pickup carrying Igla anti-air missiles. Paladin fired a DPICM cluster shell, death from above. Hundreds of bomblets buried the vehicle. It erupted in a fireball. The shockwave threw drivers off balance, roads blocked by flaming wrecks. Motorcycles slammed brakes, triggering a massive chain collision. Perfect timing. Targets boxed in and trapped. Paladin fired its second DPICM into the motorcycle swarm. The unarmored riders had no defense. Specialized rounds tore through them like dry leaves. Half of the 41 motorcycles were flipped instantly. Chaos erupted. The buggies tried to push forward, but the Shark drone was waiting. It dove, guiding a Switchblade 600 straight into the frame. The 1.3-pound fragmentation warhead hit hard. The vehicle flipped at 30 miles per hour. The rear fuel tank ignited. Smoke rose like mercury from a molten flame.
The Russian command element and the remaining bikers tried desperately to regroup, but the second FPV swarm struck. One drone slammed directly into a pickup driver, a total detonation. Another pulled off a spectacular kill, slipping under the Igla launcher before exploding inside. The rocket motor ignited a secondary blast, short, violent, final. The truck flipped 10 feet sideways, rolling over. The ammo crate became its own fireball. Radio intercepts confirmed the secondary explosions. At least 3 82mm mortar shells detonated inside. With the strike completed, the surviving bikers scattered, convinced they were cursed. Ukrainian martyr vehicles fired several 20mm bursts. Others swept across open fields. The Paladin howitzers switched to classic M107 rounds, tearing up the ground and burying the last pickups in dirt and smoke. Even after total dominance, cleanup was essential. No survivors left to report the slaughter. 2 remaining MTLBs near the Luhansk line detected the ambush early and tried to retreat, but within 5 minutes, their tracks sank into marshy woods. No cover. Ukrainian infantry from the Zalizniak unit opened fire using a BMP-1 to block radio calls. An RPG-7 slammed into an MTLB's roof. Engine oil ignited at 1650 degrees Fahrenheit, blowing the crew out. The second MTLB was destroyed seconds later by an FPV drone that snapped its track in 3. By now, villagers 6 miles away saw the black columns of smoke. The Russian convoy looked like a forest fire from afar. On the Donetsk front, the motorcycle chaos dissolved. Some riders knelt by the roadside, others fled across fields, crushing dry wheat. The final 2 FPV drones descended, dropping fragmentation grenades like hand throws. 3 killed in the first blast, 2 in the second. Mortar vehicles fired 23 rounds, pinning the rest beside their burning pickups. Thermal cameras from TB2 confirmed it. The final DPICM cluster strike shattered the last chassis in 2. The battlefield was unrecognizable. 6 tanks bound for Luhansk and Donetsk had turned into fireballs. 3 BTRs overturned. 6 MTLBs reduced to black-red ash. A burning BTR shell remained with its turret gone. Even the BRM recovery vehicle melted into slag. Diesel cracked, smoke poured thick. Nothing usable remained. The forest smoldered, trees shattered, leopard-patterned thermal scars glowing across the channel. Mission complete. But the real impact of the ambush was just beginning. With no Russian left alive to report, the shockwave from the strike began to reshape the front. The result was undeniable. A complete Ukrainian victory, a total Russian disaster. Reports from Ukraine's anti-tank drone battalion confirmed the 71-vehicle convoy never breached the Luhansk-Donetsk line. No Russian vehicle advanced anywhere near it. The air smelled of burnt rubber. The terrain was silent. The numbers were brutal for the invaders. 64 of 71 vehicles destroyed in the first 40 minutes. Of the 7 remaining, 4 were destroyed, 3 disabled and immobile. Casualties, 48 dead, 69 wounded. No prisoners. Ukraine's costs were minimal, proof of their tactical intelligence. Losses: 2 damaged mortar tracks, 1 cracked Leopard side plate, 4 lightly injured. The operation used exactly the planned ammunition load. Paladins fired 25 shells total, 8 Excaliburs, 5 DPICMs. Leopards fired 19 sabots, mortars 1,000 rounds. Beyond numbers, the Russian logistics chain was crushed. 6 MTLBs lost, including electronic warfare, medevac, ammo transport, frontline support, and command vehicles. 3 BTR-82 losses crippled troop mobility and infantry protection. At least 7 pickups destroyed, many carrying Iglas, FN MAG anti-air mounts, and 82mm mortars, a massive blow to short-range air defense and firepower. Psychologically, this was devastating. An entire mechanized column erased before contact meant not just lost hardware, but lost momentum. Follow-up units had no gap to exploit. Supply routes were rerouted 7 to 9 miles back. For 48 hours afterward, Ukrainian intercepts heard no active Russian logistics chatter along major routes. This bold combined arms operation had immediate strategic impact. By nightfall, artillery scouts swept for reinforcements. None appeared. The region was eerily quiet. Russian commanders would need 2 to 3 days to regroup, but silence wasn't just tactical, it was psychological. Radio chatter grew erratic. Intercepts mentioned a death zone and phantom artillery. No rescue teams entered the wreck field. Even their drones avoided the overpass for hours. Ukraine's 36th Reconnaissance and Signals Battalion used the pause perfectly. Using thermal camouflage nets and preset coordinates, they laid new anti-tank mines across open approaches. 12 quadcopters hid in trees, programmed to trigger on heat signatures and ram retreating vehicles. This ghost field, a layered network of virtual mines and automated threats, wasn't meant to kill. It was meant to haunt. A minefield built over ruins. The front froze completely. Those burned-out hulks, proof of a failed Russian raid, rusted in the mud for months, silent witnesses to a battle where intelligence and precision defeated brute force. And as the smoke slowly faded over the ruined forest, silence returned to the battlefield, broken only by the crackle of burning steel. What was once a proud armored column had become nothing more than twisted metal and drifting ash. This wasn't just a victory of firepower. It was a victory of strategy, of technology, and of human intelligence over blind force. But what do you think? Was this the moment that truly changed the balance of power on the Eastern Front, or just one of many hidden battles we'll never fully know about? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you believe Ukraine's precision warfare marks the future of modern combat, or is Russia already adapting for the next round? Your opinion matters, share it below, and let's discuss how this one ambush might rewrite the story of the entire war.